Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Paul, and this is FitSpaz Recovery, and I'm coming to you again today to talk about some fitness, to talk about the fourth step in the Marijuana Anonymous Recovery Program. Want to keep that nice and quiet because I feel it's been a little bit loud on playback. I'm a veteran podcaster. I used to do a podcast called Marijuana Radio back in the day. Had a lot of listeners, had a lot of followers, and I just dropped it. At its peak, I just dropped it. It gave me a lot of stress. I had a failing business, and for all kinds of various reasons. One of them being my inability to manage my stress and my substance abuse, drinking too much, smoking too much, being in a failing marriage, and all these things. Very tough, and not pointing the finger of blame at anybody right now. Those are just some circumstances that led to me eventually getting real and wanting to recover from substance abuse. I'm tired of it. Personally tired of it. I'm also a father, and so maybe you relate to some of these things, and fitness is part of what has helped me escape that. Excuse me, at least for the time being. I wanted to touch on today a little bit of some stuff I was talking about before. I have this distinct lighting problem going on right now. It's like I'm in a shadow over here and I'm in the light over here. That's not good. I'm gonna have to watch out for that next time. All right, everybody. So what I wanted to touch on as far as fitness, I've talked about how exercise is one way to make yourself feel good, have something to do, something you have control over, that you can feel empowered by in your life. But I also, I've been a little broad about talking about it when I say exercise. What I want to say is if you are in the initial stages of your recovery where you're still detoxing and trying to get off drugs, it is not in your best interest to hit exercise so hard that you're stressing your body, okay? So what you want to do is find a moderate level that's just the right amount. Like, that's why I say just get up and go on a walk for 20-30 minutes. It's not too strenuous, because that stress you put on your body, it's going to cause your body to not recover very well. So I should have pointed that out last time. You don't want to overdo it, but you want to do enough to get the benefits to your mood and your body to help get you through the process of detoxing, getting off the drugs, the withdrawal. And last year when I quit, 14 months ago, a couple months after that, I started this rigorous program called Insanity Max 30, and that's heavy duty. But by the time I started that, I was already about 2.5 months clean. So the initial stresses were, I was finished with the initial stresses of getting off alcohol and marijuana. And so, yeah, there is such a thing as stress from quitting your marijuana. You know it, even if you don't want to admit it. So I was already somewhat fit when I started that, and I just wanted to point out to people once again how fitness can be so good for you, replacing a bad habit with a new habit. Have that backwash going on right now. Yeah, baby. 8 pierogies for lunch. Yeah. So today I did a really awesome workout called The Challenge from a program called 21 Day Fix Extreme, and I'll just play a real quick clip for you of that real fast. Check it out. So here I am doing the final round of these exercises in 21 Day Fix Extreme, The Challenge, and it's not easy. You basically build up one move at a time throughout 28 minutes, adding an additional move each time. In the final round, this one here, I'm doing 13 separate moves, and you do each move, like I said, 4 times, and it's not easy. Right here you start seeing where, in my opinion, when you're exhausted, it starts getting tough on the shoulders and a lot of core work, and but I enjoy it. Like right here, my mind is just thoroughly exhausted, but I'm going through the motions and feeling pretty darn good about it. Everything 4 times, like I said. Not easy. It's not supposed to be, but I love it. And I did very well because several weeks ago I sprained my ankle and I couldn't do stuff like this for a while, so it's a little bit of a personal thrill getting back to normal this way.
That last round was really tough, and it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's not supposed to be easy, but it is worth it. So I'm just a regular guy. You should do this too. If you're looking to have different habits in your life, feel better, feel healthier, feel stronger, feel more capable, fitness is the way.
And that was it. And let me tell you, I did that today, and on that last round that you just saw of that exercise, I pushed very hard because I knew I was filming it. I knew I was going to play it on here, but I got so exhausted doing that. Darn it. With clearing my voice, excuse me. I don't like to do that on here, and I have to turn around and mute it out next time or something, but it's just such a distraction. Very hard workout, that is. It builds up from beginning to end. You do one move, and then in the second round you do 2 moves, then you go back to the beginning, do 3 moves, and so forth, all the way up to completing the 13 moves that you just saw me complete. And it's so tiring that I have to drop out just on a couple rounds as I go, because I'm just so worn out I need to take a break. But it lasts about 28 minutes of doing what you saw there, one move building on another. And once you see it start getting into the push-up area, that's where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just telling my mind to keep going. I'm going through the motions, but it makes me feel amazing, is my point. It's something that makes me feel good about what I'm doing in my life, and so I highly recommend it to everybody. Why wouldn't you want to do this kind of thing? You know what I mean? People make excuses, but so you don't have to jump into something rigorous. I mean, that's part of the problem. People don't like exercise because they think they have to do something wildly hard and kill themselves doing it. You don't. All you have to do is just do something to get some mild benefits, and that's why I always go back to my first love, that is walking. The simplest form of cardio, just walking long enough to get that toasty feeling, 20 to 30 minutes of just a comfortable walk. You don't have to walk super fast like a choo-choo train. Just get it. Go out on a walk outside, or walk in a loop in your house if you have the space. Either watch TV or listen to music. And for me personally, that's awesome. I heard someone say recently she hates walking, and I'm like, oh, how could you say you hate walking? I love it so much. I love it. I love being able to move. I'm grateful to be able to move in life. And so I've just found that exercise for me, as for many people, has been instrumental in being able to have a long period of time sober, boosting your mood without mood meds, using food as medicine, all this, that, and the other thing. And so these are just fitness. I'm going to keep coming back to that focus on here. That's why it's called FitSpaz. FitSpaz. And so I'm going to jump into the book right now, and we're going to talk some more about the 4th step. And this helps me. I don't know if it helps you. I'd love to know if it helps you. Send me feedback and let me know if it helps you. So the 4th step, actually. If it doesn't help you, why are you watching? Just to make fun of me? Step 4 made a searching. I want to just make sure my voice is loud enough so you can hear it beautifully. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And in the past year, since I've been going to Marijuana Anonymous, I have certainly been reading the steps over and over and thinking about how they apply to me. And everybody's different. Everybody is a given individual, and their situation and experience is different. And I have not had a sponsor, and I have not worked the steps with a sponsor, but I have given serious, deep thought to every single one of them, and that's why I'm sitting going through all of them with you. This is sort of my working the steps on here with you, and I try to be as open as possible, because I think the more you hear my story the way I feel, you're going to find things you identify with, and the more you're going to get something out of it that helps you. So let me just read from this a little bit, and I'll riff and do my thing. After we became honest enough to take the first step, open-minded enough to take the second, and willing enough to take the third, we were ready to confront step 4. We have observed what happens to those who resist this step. Some marijuana addicts will not follow the suggestion to do this step, or to do it promptly. Some of them stop coming to meetings and start using again. Others keep coming back, but their spiritual awareness does not grow. They recount the same experiences, express the same emotions, and suffer the same pain. Nothing changes for them. They appear to be stuck. We learned that as long as we resisted taking our inventory, we put our sobriety and our lives at risk. Just as denial once stopped us from seeking recovery, defiance, shame, and fear can hinder our spiritual growth. Once we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to a higher power, it was imperative we do just that. After all, the faith we acquired by taking step 3 meant very little if we did not follow through with immediate action. Taking a serious, fearless personal made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves, okay? This is not easy. The part I have trouble with is fearless. It's like, how am I not going to be fearful doing this? Like, basically confessing to myself what my moral shortcomings are. Also, what's bugging me? What are the things throughout my life that have caused me to have insecurities, whatever the devil they are, and being just honest about them? I'm fearful. I'm fearful of judgment from others, you know that? So I can sit here and I can think of things and realize them for myself, but admitting them to you, I'm still trying to find out whether that's helpful in the process. Confessing these things to others. I think confession in general, non-religiously, denominational, can be a powerful thing when you admit things to others that are bothering you and you have someone hear you, someone caring. That can lift a tremendous weight off of your shoulders. And so, fearless moral inventory of ourselves. What are my shortcomings? Honestly, I have ideas of things that are my shortcomings that I'm not going to say in this public venue, but let me tell you, some of those worst shortcomings came out with using, especially when I was drinking. Some of the types of behaviors drinking will make you get into they're not things I would admit in this venue. Like I said, maybe to a therapist someday or something, but I've admitted to myself that certain things have been wrong, and I think that's what's most important. Is I'm not kidding myself. I don't have to tell you to know A, B, and C about myself and to know that I'm making progress as a human being. Recognizing my faults, or at least being aware of my faults. Also, wanting to become aware if there's something I'm in denial about. Maybe sometimes people outside of us are recognizing things about us much more easily than we recognize about ourselves, because we don't want to admit bad things about ourselves naturally. I don't. That notion is like not it doesn't jive with the old way my ego used to function, very arrogant and selfish, more narcissistic. I don't think I was a full-blown narcissist, but I do think drug use brings out that narcissistic tendency in people where they can't be wrong about anything. You can't be wrong about anything, so you deny. In the meanwhile, that denial, that unwillingness to reconcile with the truth in yourself, it hurts you in the long run, especially if you're trying to get clean. I'll go back to how important honesty with yourself personally is vital. And so you can't do this step and not be honest with yourself. If you're lying to yourself, you're hitting a wall here and you're not going to go beyond this. That's true with me. That's true with everybody. We're all human beings. None of us are perfect. And like I say in my meditation every day, you are no better and no worse than anyone else. Like just this moral equivalency, okay? I'm not going to get into some other philosophical thoughts I had about that. It's about humility and honesty about who you are. The disease of addiction impaired our ability to know ourselves and to be true to ourselves. That really does go along with what I was just saying. Regardless of our way of life, our denial about our disease coupled with a lack of self-awareness kept us in an endless loop where we practiced the same destructive behaviors again and again while always expecting different results. Yeah, that's like the recipe for madness now, right? Like knowing you're making the same mistake and it's just like punching yourself. Oh, this hurts when I punch myself in the face, but I'm going to keep doing it because my mind tells me it's good. Like, what? Seriously. A simple, boring metaphor, but applicable nonetheless. Step 4 is a fact-finding process meant to put an end to this interminable cycle by identifying those facets of our character that, turn the page, blocked us from a relationship with a higher power. Step 4 required courage. Absolutely. That's why I pointed out that word fearless there. It's hard to be fearless and honest when it's basically like giving yourself criticism, not to dump on yourself, but to be perfectly honest with yourself about who you are. It's a step to becoming a better person. Forget drug use for a second. If you're wanting to grow and be a better person, I think this step applies to anyone and everyone in every walk of life, regardless of whether we're talking about trying to get off of drugs or not. Some people believe that our instincts have been given to us by a higher power and exist for a purpose. A desire for material, emotional, and sexual security ensures our survival as a species. As addicts, we allowed our healthy instincts to get out of control. These feelings drove us, dominated us, and ruled over our lives. They became warped and exaggerated. The pursuit of these desires caused pain and suffering to the people in our lives. They in turn reacted, and we ultimately resented it. So much was just true in this paragraph. We exist for a purpose. I feel like if you want to succeed in life, it's important to live for your purpose and find what that is. It's hard to come to that sometimes. A desire for material, emotional, and sexual security ensures our survival as a species. Boy, does it not. We allowed our healthy instincts to get out of control. These feelings drove us, dominated us, and ruled our lives. Goes back to feeling those, to having those feelings of narcissism I was talking about. That self-centeredness that is a hindrance to being really in a state of growing, being open-minded. They became warped and exaggerated. The pursuit of these desires caused pain and suffering to the people in our lives, always. To many people in my life, I think. I'm a better person now, but I know certain people wrapped up in their own frustrations don't see it, and that's fine. Like I've heard so many people say, you got to keep your own side of the street clean. You can't control what others are up to and doing, and that goes back to the serenity prayer too, the very first part of it. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and like what you're doing, I can't change it. I can try to influence you, but I also can't have too much of an emotional investment in thinking that it's up to me and I've failed you. No, the buck stops here with me, just like the buck stops with you in your situation in life. Honestly, what a beautiful thing, though, when people want to take responsibility for that for themselves. What a big step to move forward in every facet of life, whether or not we're talking about getting off drugs or people who have any type of problem in life, emotional, personal, spiritual, professional, whatever. Taking personal responsibility is powerful. It's also important to realize, maybe you're being blamed for something that's not your fault and give yourself a break. It's up to you to decide the context and the reasoning behind that. It might be true that you catch a lot of crap from people and it's unwarranted, and you have to know when and where to turn away, when and where that benefits you. Personal growth is essential to the recovering addict, to everyone in life. Honestly, people who are totally straight can become totally emotionally warped. And what I find in my experience is talking to a lot of people about recovery, it fascinates me how people who have invested in personal growth and trying to get off drugs, I have found some people where I see more personal peace in them because of how much effort they've had to put into growing to get beyond this horrible problem. Where some people who don't even do drugs are in a pit of emotional hell because they just, people who not on drugs can get carried away by some of these same sicknesses that are just fueled by their own mind. And here we have something that is the human condition for some people. We all had our own patterns to find. That's what I'm talking about. Drugs or not, we have those patterns. Sometimes with the help of our sponsors, we found there were certain similar threads woven through many of our lives. We were not terminally unique. That's what I've found by going to these meetings is almost everyone expresses something I've identified with in the past where I thought maybe I was alone in that experience. So all that does is it helps me feel the benefit of the fellowship of people there expressing how they feel. And so I would tell you guys, it takes a tremendous amount of courage to get up and go to a meeting like that. You probably have them in your town. And walking in the door and meeting people for the first time. I've gone there many times, and even last night I had trepidation going in. Not because there's anything wrong with anyone else, it's just my own social anxiety quirk. But I go in and it winds up being better for me because I'm connecting with people. I'm identifying with people, and some people, interestingly, identify with me. I'm not as unique as I think, just like it says right here. We indulged ourselves in fruitless searches for people and outside factors we could blame for the spiritual emptiness of our lives. Again, that goes back to taking personal responsibility for your situation. We alternated between blaming ourselves and blaming others. We were often quite childish. Our ability to experience emotions was impaired. I find that to be very true. That's why, people get off drugs and all of a sudden they feel bombarded with all these emotions that they used to just deal with by using it. It's like sweeping crap under the rug and thinking that and forgetting that it's there, but then you go look under the rug and it's like, oh my god, it's messy under here. We were often quite childish. Our ability to experience emotions was impaired. Excuse me, I just have that problem with the We held on to the resentments about the past, which prohibited us from embracing the present and living our lives to the fullest. It's also an impairment to the future when you're just so hindered by the past. I've been there. I have learned better to dismiss things from the past and realize that this is all I have in the moment, and I'm gonna either die right now or be alive tomorrow. And by golly, so it helps me rationalize and realize that I got to do the best I can right now to live and grow and be happy, make things better, be healthier, model good behavior for my daughter, try and make sense to you. I hope some of this helps you guys. But I'm reaching that point in time on this show and I want to start wrapping things up. Some of us were full of remorse and could not forgive ourselves for making mistakes. I know that all too well. That is, we would not accept our humanity. There you go. The imperfection of being human beings. Let's accept that. The humility of knowing we're not godly and we're not God, period. We're not the center of the universe. Humility is essential, but that doesn't mean you can't love yourself and have tremendous confidence in yourself and be great. It doesn't mean you can't aspire to greatness. Because, and what the fine line is between that is not being arrogant about it. There are exceptional people out there who are humble and they express through humility. And then there are people who are exceptional and you just feel that arrogance pouring out of them. And I don't think that's attractive. I used to be like that. Sometimes I might be like that, but I try to recognize that as one of my flaws. Fearless moral inventory, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I want to say thank you for watching. This is FitSpaz Recovery. I hope you get something out of it. Send me feedback to paul@fitspaz.com. Also, check out fitspaz.com. Subscribe to the podcast. The numbers are a little up. I think the consistency helps. For those of you just listening on the podcast right now, there is a video component to this. You can see that by going to the website. You can see it by subscribing to YouTube, and if you want to know how, go to fitspaz.com and click on the social media links. Follow everywhere. Keep up with what I'm doing, and I love the feedback, the interaction. I'm gonna get Skype going on that TV, and I'm gonna start talking to people on here once in a while. I probably should have already, but I'm just taking little steps to try and improve what I'm doing. And so I hope you're all well, people. Take all this stuff to heart. Next time I'll probably delve into the next step and have some other things to say about fitness. But I hope you're all well. In the meantime, stay out of trouble. I'm Paul, the producer from FitSpaz. And ladies and gentlemen, the truth is my business.